Hello. Well, hello. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome, everybody. We are live on the air. Is it Memorex or is it live? As a matter of fact, it happens to be live. We're coming to you from a remarkable place, broadcasting Torn Tuesday, coming to you live right here from Ridley Scott's new studio space here in the heart of West Hollywood. That's right, Scott Free Productions and the famous and inimitable film director Ridley Scott and his team have allowed us, with their good graces, to come here and use this remarkable space so we can broadcast here on a very special edition of Torn Tuesday. Welcome aboard, all of you Hobbit lads and lasses. This is thewondering.net with your weekly dose of all things J.R.R. Tolkien. We're in the middle of a whole bunch of great stuff, including our March Madness bracket with its wild and sometimes contentious showdowns between great artists, painters, and illustrators. We've brought this every year for years beyond count, and this is a very special year because we're celebrating some of the best artists and illustrators in the world of fantasy illustration. Now, we're already on to our second round of voting, so we're going to bring you up to speed with that. We're going to have a couple of special guests, surprises, and maybe a little bit of Green Dragon gossip, if we can get to that. Welcome, everybody. This is, Clifford Broadway without, I'm the Roger Ebert without his Gene Siskel. I don't have Justin here with me, but he's hiding in the background somewhere. But before we go any further, I'm going to say there's a lot of great people who've worked behind the scenes, our wonderful volunteers who make thewondering.net the best and longest lasting Tolkien community of all time. Speaking of you, Kirsten, our dear Green Dragon, and Jim Wirt, and Kathy, and Josh, and so many wonderful people, including Chris Parada, who put together this really remarkable interface where you can look at the contestants and look at the artwork and vote during our March Madness event. So before we get any further down the tubes, we're going to actually bring in, as a surprise, maybe some of you folks know Jerry Vanderstelt. Maybe you do, and I hope you do, because he is a powerhouse artist who has made quite a presence for himself and shows up at the best and biggest conventions to be so agreeable and to meet with fans and talk about his artwork. He has, like no other, captured photorealistic stylings with his mastery of illustration. And one of his beautiful works of art, called The Fellowship of the Ring, is in our competition bracket. And we're also going to have a special reader who will join us for Tolkien Reading Day. Yes, that's right. All around the world, supported by the ongoing efforts of the Tolkien Society in England, this is the day, March 25th, when the ring was destroyed in Orodruin. And to commemorate that day, quite a long time ago, they created the Tolkien Reading Day event, which allows people to celebrate the thing that they love doing most, reading the professor's works. So we're going to have a special guest with us to do some of that, and we're going to talk with Jerry. Are you here with us? Do we have Jerry? And do we have all three of us? Here we are together. Allow me to, forget the preamble. Let me just bring you right in. Welcome to Torn Tuesday, Jerry Vanderstelt. It's so good to see you.
Thank you, Cliff. Good to see you too. Great to be here.
What a pleasure, sir. And right there in the other corner, there's our lovely Kirsten Green Dragon. Hello. Welcome to the show, everybody.
Thanks, Cliff. It's always fun to be here, and especially on Tolkien Reading Day, and especially in round 2 of Middle-earth March Madness, and especially with Jerry. So thanks for having me along today.
It's very special. It's a very special day indeed. Now, just over the weekend, our buddy, our really good friend of the site, Jordan Rennells, had organized a magnificent collection of people, content creators, artists, and luminaries who are all in the Tolkien sphere, and he brought them together to read The Return of the King in an 8-hour progressive show that featured so many people, backed up by his long expected soundscape, which includes wind and audio effects and music and ambient sounds. And it was just phenomenal to be part of that. Kirsten, how did you feel being part of that? It was so great.
Oh yeah, I mean Jordan's wonderful, and I love doing anything for him. And it was just so fun. All those amazing people who read, and all the amazing people who were watching, and yeah, it really was kind of special. I have to admit, the end of Return of the King always makes me cry anyway. And Jordan read the last section himself, and just
Oh
listening
my,
to
yes.
Sam parting from Frodo and da da da. It was so emotional. So I loved it.
Excellent. Yeah, I did too. Because he allowed me to have this section of the book, the opening of the chapter, the field of Cormallen. And at that point, it's just, Professor Tolkien taking his language up to the 10 or maybe 11 on the volume dial. It's not like, oh, here's a beautiful little pastoral forest and there's a little fox. He's wondering what those hobbits are doing over there. It's not the kind of language that Tolkien has at that point in The Return of the King. It's cranked up to 11. And it was stunning for me to be part of that and to have some energy. I just loved it. I really loved it. And there was a whole host of great people. Now, the Tolkien Reading Day is celebrated year-round. I mean, worldwide. Why, of course we will. And we're gonna get to this extraordinary piece that Jerry has allowed us to, we're so grateful we get to have this in our March Madness. But I want you to tell us, Jerry, I heard you before we began the live stream, I heard you say something about, if it's not a paintbrush, I'm not technically gonna be adept at that. Does that mean you're not a digital artist and you don't use any digital tools? In your work, is it just all manual, all analog? I mean,
it's my preference, but I have the ability to use digital where needed, especially when clients want things that are layered, that they can edit, things like that. But it's not really my preference, but I can manage it, but it doesn't feel as natural, obviously. So I'm more of a traditional painter. So
tell us about your preferred medium: watercolor, pencils, actual oil, acrylic. What do you like?
Oil is kind of where I learned to start painting with full color, but oil just takes too long to dry. I don't have the patience, which, I like acrylics because you can touch them literally seconds after you lay it down. Airbrush, you can touch it almost immediately, so you can keep layering. Because speed I need so badly because I'm so slow. So anywhere I can gain, that's better for me. I love the airbrush. Been using that since, painting motorcycle tanks years and years ago.
No, don't even. You were painting little motorcycle gas tanks with like blue flames and those really cool hot rod looks? No.
Whatever you can imagine. Yeah, I was painting motorcycle tanks.
I love that.
Airbrush is great for that. So I was like, how can I use the airbrush into a piece of illustrated work, like a movie poster or, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, something of that kind. And I'm still honing it, just tweaking on it and trying new things all the time. Mostly all acrylic based, a little bit of color pencil here and there, but it's pretty much acrylic, airbrush, and standard flat brush work. That's really all it's been all this time.
All right, we're going to pull up this beautiful piece right now. There it is. Now, the audience can see that now. We can go full screen. This piece is under our grouping. Is it called groups and montages? Is that our quadrant of the... Yeah.
Correct. Groups or montages is the bracket that it's in.
Absolutely. This is a fantastic representation of the most familiar characters, including a couple of them that aren't really in the Fellowship. But this power, there's a dynamic between the guys on the far right who lean way evil, and the guys on the far left who are our heroes. And right there in the very center, the symmetrical point in the center is the encounter with the Balrog and the door of Moria, the west gate of Moria. Can you tell us what inspired you to approach this symmetry in the piece?
Well, when I first got the license with, at the time, New Line Cinema, I knew that I had planned to do the whole trilogy, but it was impossible to put all 3 films in one shot. You could barely do it with one film. There's so much in there. So I had to try to plan for all 3. I kind of designed them all at the same time. And then knowing I would release one as each movie had come out. And as I knew myself more what was going on. So I had to limit the things that I really wanted to throw in there. But as an artist, I try to keep it clean so it can breathe. And it's kind of tricky to do because there's so many elements in here.
Yes.
So I just tried to start out from left to right, with Western eyes, we read left to right, that you notice Gandalf first, because that's kind of where we want to build our story from, or at least the layout arrangement. And then from that point, using the map as a backdrop, like showing the 9 going behind his staff, you can see there.
Oh, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think if I remember right, where Aragorn's walking, he's right above Lake Evendim. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yes,
that ties in with his people. So I'm always aware of where I put things on purpose. I try to tie them in. Sometimes I hide them. You can see the Shire map, the word the Shire, right by Gandalf. That's where it all started again.
Yes.
Just basically go in a clockwise circle with the Balrog and the Moria door as sort of the central hub where all the problems began, really.
Yeah.
And then for those who have seen this piece for a long time, you'll notice on the top and bottom is banding the runes. And most people probably could read that. Once you know the first word, you know the whole thing. Anybody want to take a shot? Right above Frodo's head at the top, you see that banding? There's 3 runes right there.
Okay. Yes. Okay.
We all know it.
I'm not gonna be the first person to be so brave.
Is it the ring script?
Mm-hmm. 1 ring to rule them all, and then down.
Exactly.
By the time you get by Sauron and Saruman, it says, "In the darkness bind them." I think the M is missing because Sauron's cloak is right in front of it. But I had to try to squeeze that in there and just have fun with it and see how many people would find it. Some have. Some still have no idea it's there or what it says. But that's the little fun that I get to have inside, mostly with the map.
Well, those are just dwarven Kurth runes, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, the kind that I have tattooed on my left arm. This is
nice.
Just dwarven stuff. But it's an English transliteration using dwarven letters, right?
Correct. That's how I did it. Mm-hmm.
Love it. I love it. That's great stuff. Well, I mean, how do you make a decision between full body or just upper 3/4 or just shoulders up? How do you get to that point? Now, some of the greatest movie poster artwork was by Ansel, and he did great artwork for many posters, and that includes obviously Raiders of the Lost Ark and the Dark Crystal. And at that point in time, we're looking at the character montage that appeared as a popular methodology for advertising film posters. Did you have any inspiration in your background from like great movie poster artists of the day, like Ansel?
100%. Him, Struzan. I studied them. Even a smattering of Frazetta, although he wasn't technically a movie poster artist, but just their feel, their vibe. Michael Whalen, and those two couldn't be more far apart style-wise, but I just try to get inspiration from all them. Tim and Greg Hildebrandt, amazing.
True.
As far as the 3/4 shoulder, I think it might have to do with obviously reference availability, especially when it's a film that's coming out or had just come out. There's very little reference, at least in those days. There was less advertising online and things like that. So you have to try to use what's available to you. And it's got to read well, especially if you're trying to direct the eye, like in a clockwise. So it can be extremely difficult. Sometimes you do it just based on the availability. Sometimes, let's say beyond a person's shoulder, it's a waste of space because the real estate, you need so much of it to try to tell a story. So mostly once you get past, the shoulders, you've done your job. You're concentrating on the character's personality. So you don't really want to use up that space. You want to leave it for something else. Yet there are things, obviously, like the Balrog, we see head to toe, Saruman almost. I kind of wanted to show him, for example, full body, but smaller, almost playing on the idea like he's still the underling. Like really, he doesn't, like Sauron is really the one in charge of this. And yet he's arrogant enough to think that he's on a level playing field with him. So just little things like that you're toying with as far as layout. Now, let's say, for example, here, between Aragorn or Strider and Sauron's helmet, there was very little space, but Boromir needed to be in there. He's too important. So I treated him in a more monochromatic map color for his face so that he's pushed back a little bit. And it's almost not only for the space and breathing room, at least in my mind, I did that also to give Aragorn a little bit more prominence, which is fitting for the story anyway, because he is the true king to come. So you're always pushing and pulling. Now, obviously, when you're done with a piece like this and it's published, and you're like, oh, now I see what I could have done here, could have done there. So it's constant. And then the ring, of course, I tried to make it like it's floating right off the thing. And then I did that with Two Towers and Return of the King as well, to keep the theme together.
Yes. Oh, so did this first piece inform the other two that immediately followed?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
And as I went along, I know this is more about Fellowship, but to kind of tie it together, more of the story elements were added and very few were left behind. So more story elements, more characters, more themes kept being added. So I had to try to figure out how to have breathing room. As by the time we got to Return of the King, it was full of everything that had all these elements. So how do you keep it clean? And I leave that to the viewers. But the things that remained is the map theme, the rune rings. The only thing I changed was the banding on the top and bottom. You see, this one's blue.
Yeah.
And I was trying to find it. I don't think I have it in my collection here. But you remember when the DVDs came out, we had the red, green, blue.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
And I believe Fellowship was, somebody
Green.
help me, green.
Yep.
And I thought Fellowship feels like a blue movie to me. So I didn't know if New Line would come after me on that or not. So I thought, it feels blue, because Moria to me was sort of the main event. That's the main thing where things were happening. So I wanted to go into the blues. Rohan, obviously green made sense. Mount Doom, red made sense for the end of all things in red.
Yes.
So I kind of flipped the script just a little with the color banding,
Right.
which made it kind of fun.
That's fabulous.
Jerry, can I just ask you, may I? And by the way, you may have noticed that Josh has joined us.
Oh yeah, I saw him.
You and he have been in touch often in the past. Josh is our collectibles expert on the staff.
Yeah.
But Jerry, if I may, can you tell us a bit about, you mentioned at the beginning when you got the license, and obviously this is all very much had to be licensed, copyright, images from the movie. How did that happen? How did you end up getting the license to do this?
Well, this all started back in '99. Seems like forever ago. Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con, 1999. I don't know if you have a shot of this, but at the time, I believe the internet was fairly new, wasn't it? Like 97, 98 or so, AOL. Somebody help me. I don't remember exactly, but it was fairly new. Oh, there we go. So
Right.
I was on the extreme south wall of the Comic-Con showroom floor down there. And just, probably 4 or 5 months before the show, there was little tidbits of Fellowship that was getting teased out there on the internet. At that time, I mean, getting logging in, logging on was that was all new, you know.
Yeah.
But they were starting to show little tidbits of things. I don't believe there was the first trailer. Somebody could help me out with when that came out. That first teaser.
We broke the internet when the first trailer came out on QuickTime, and it was only this big of a little thing, but it took hours and hours to download the whole thing. More than the Star Wars Phantom Menace trailer. We broke the internet with that. We really did.
And what year was that, Cliff?
99.
Okay, so it could have been around this time.
And there was a teaser trailer that had, because you can see here, that's the original script style. That is not the style they used in the end.
Oh,
Exactly.
That was
yeah.
on the early teaser. I remember there was a Houghton Mifflin magnet that had it on, and the very early teaser trailer.
100%.
That talking about as well.
Yep, 100%. And so I'm guessing that teaser had come out during this time before the show. So I was just trying to compile just based on what was there. The cast, I mean, there was very little in this one, but I had just enough information to take a shot. And I thought to myself, okay, I love this book. I love this story since I was a child, since reading this old version.
Oh my gosh, that old Valentine edition. Oh
which was inspired by this.
Yes.
So I was like, I got to try to do something that's sort of a quick little montage in case somebody happens to come by. You never know, right? Right time, right place. Well, I was trying to be prepared. So I thought, well, you never know, right? So I brought this to the show. I thought, well, who knows what happens? Let's see what happens. And the last thing that I had painted on this piece that we're looking at was Elijah. I wanted to save him for last because he was the central character in the layout. So I wanted to put more of the details there. So I had gotten to know his face quite well. And I happened to be talking to my wife, and I look up and I'm like, I know those eyes so well, but the name tag didn't fit. I can't remember what the name is, but that's not Elijah Wood. It was somebody else's. I guess there was enough people that didn't quite know who he was yet as much. Didn't want to get plowed over down there. So his first reaction was, that's me. And I said, yeah, I'm glad you agree. I said, I know your face about as well as you do by now for all the time painting it. So we were chatting for a few minutes, and then along comes this big dude, dark hair, Gino Acevedo. Been buddies ever since, 25 years now. And then later comes this big, tall, thin guy, Coke bottle glasses, Richard. And we just all started talking, and I was like, they introduced themselves, what they were working on, and I was completely, in La La Land, and Richard's like, do you happen to have a print of that? And I said, actually, I did, just in case something just like this were to happen. 8x10 print. I'm like, I was high as a kite by that time. And he's like, hey, I have a meeting in New York with New Line sometime after the show. I can't remember if it was immediately after, but shortly thereafter. And let me see if I could convince them to maybe do a deal with you. And I'm like, really? Well, you would do that? And so apparently that was what started it. And I have to give so much credit to Richard and Gino, John Mayo for facilitating it. And the rest is history. And it's just been an amazing blessing to be involved in this. So that's what started it, that piece.
Being at the right place at the right time. There's no replacement for it.
Yeah, it was just lovely. And then Elijah was the nicest, sweetest guy. And my wife and I were chuckling because I think he's being so young, he had got a phone call. He stops chatting for a minute. He was talking to his mom. Yeah, Mom, I got here. I landed. I'm safe. I'm fine. And just, normal guy, and thrown into this new world. And I was thrown into it too, because I had never been this far in an intellectual property like this. So everything was just right. So it's been nothing but a blessing ever since.
Josh, come and join us on the show. Nice to see you.
Hey, I don't think I've ever heard that story, Jerry. That's
No.
Yeah,
I've told it to you many times.
Have you? I don't remember you telling me.
I don't remember that story.
all
That's
those
gold.
details.
That story
and I've never
is gold.
seen this picture with this
Really?
print. Is this something that you could put out now?
You know what? In those days, that's before I even scanned my originals. I don't know where it is.
Oh,
man.
wow.
I love that. I would love to have that. That's beautiful.
Well, they probably wouldn't allow it anyway, because as Kirsten pointed out, that's the
ring
old
strip,
logo.
yeah.
And then it says
Yeah.
part 1. So yeah.
But that's why I'd like to have it, because
That's
that's a rarity. It's like, you know,
I've never seen this picture, so I've never seen this. How come you've never shown me this? This is amazing. This is great.
I thought I had.
No,
I totally forgot.
I've never seen this picture before. That's awesome.
Well,
So cool.
what was really interesting for me was, I believe the photographer's name was Pierre Vinet. Sound right?
Yes, he was the set photographer, Pierre Vinet. Yes.
Okay, he had shot this picture of Ian, and I can't even remember where I saw it. A magazine, Vanity Fair, something. And I was like, oh, I got to build this whole piece off of that shot, because the look is so. I would love to see where that original, scan is, because that's gold. That shot there.
That's very cool. Like I said, I've never seen a picture of. Well, first off, you that young.
Thank you.
But I've never seen that art. That's beautiful. I absolutely love that.
Now I kind of want to track down all the elements here, because I remember a lot of these individual elements when they came out, when we got teaser trailers, teaser posters, teaser promo items. Like I mentioned, there was a magnet that I believe I've still got that Houghton Mifflin had that was rectangular, and it had that image of the 4 ring wraiths on it, and it had that script, that Lord of the Rings. It would be really a fun project to be like, right, let me see if I can find all the elements that you pulled together in this poster.
100%. It's now reminds me of what Gino told me. Years later, he's like, that's the least favorite shot of Gimli. We at Weta Workshop, none of us like that shot. I says, oh, why is that? He says, well, because his prosthetics were coming up off that shot. And I had no idea. I just thought that was eye bags or something like that. And of course, they're in the know, and I wasn't in the know. But there was so little. In fact, this shot is before I corrected the gauntlet. I had no idea that they had steel gauntlets, and it's just kind of a blob, because the shot was so blurry. I had to just sort of translate what it was. And if you notice, and I forgot about this, the Black Rider has a crown, which never showed up. I didn't know that either.
Ah.
Let me see. Yeah. And then, of course, them climbing. That was another shot that was just bare minimum. But the main thing I was thinking when I put it together is, if I could just show them just a little smattering of a style. And then the first thing I did is, when I got the job, is I flipped it horizontal, because it just things fit better that way. But I do love the old movie poster orientation in that way, probably more.
That's very cool. That's very cool. We have about 5 minutes left. Can we go and show the other one, Justin, that is part of our March Madness competition? You're up against Jimmy Cauty in this category. The classic. Oh my goodness.
Sasha, have you seen that piece a few times or not?
A couple of
what's
times.
behind you?
And I tell him, and I'm not kidding when I say, like, this is my background, whether or not I'm doing something torn related or if I'm at work, it is always my background. And I get comments on it all the time, about how nice it is and where's that from. And so I enjoy getting to talk about it and explain, Jerry's work and all the stuff that he's done and everything. And Jerry and I, only get to see him. Well, this is rare, getting to talk to him virtually, but get to see him for a few days every year at Comic-Con. But I always tell Jerry how, just being honest, how blessed I am to have him as a friend and stuff, because he's always just so great with information and listening, and we have great chats about Middle Earth and all kinds of stuff. And the thing I tell people about Jerry's art is, I think and even that piece that we just saw that I had never seen before, it tells a story. And I think you can know what happens in the film, or the book for that matter, just by simply looking at one of his prints, one of his trilogy prints. They tell you what's going on and what the characters are feeling or dealing with. And I think that's the beauty of these trilogy prints, all three of them, not just this one, is that they tell you the story. I love being able to look at them for that reason, because the fact that, like I said, they tell the story. You know what's going on, the importance of certain elements, the little hidden things that are in there. I mean, I've had this one since Jerry put it out a long time ago now.
07.
And I love being
07.
able to look at it and just kind of, take a look at all the little details and find the little hidden things that all these years later that I still might have missed on a first viewing or a 10th viewing or a 100th viewing. And to me, it's an exceptional piece of art because of it, the fact that it tells a story. You could have just this and know what happens in the movie or in the book without having to have anything else.
Part of what you were asking earlier, Cliff, about decisions you make, what you leave out or what you put in. This, as you guys were talking, and as you were saying it, Josh, it reminded me back in 2008, I was at a Star Wars convention in LA, and I got to meet Drew Struzan. He's like the king of movie posters, in my opinion.
Yes.
And he had said, I said, I've been watching you. And he says, I've been watching you too. I'm like, really? But he said, my best advice to you is don't try to paint the entire movie. Hint at the movie. Mm-hmm. And I took that to heart. And I thought, okay, it's not always what you show, it's what you don't show. It's got to have breathing room. But this, as I was saying, as I reached Return of the King, I was like, oh man, this has got to be in here. This has got to be in there. And so it can get messy fast. So it was really challenging. That piece took 3 months, Return of the King. So.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Oh, it's just, yeah. And that's not 9 to 5.
Your prints aren't, that's the thing. That's the beauty about your prints, though, I think, is all three. I mean, all of them in general, but specifically your trilogy prints, is they're not messy. Everything is where it's supposed to be and tells a beautiful story.
I try.
Anybody that collects art, and I'm not saying this just because Jerry's on or he's my friend or anything like that. I truly believe this, and that they are amazing pieces of art that I think someone should have in their collection because of how beautiful they are to look at.
Thank you so much. But I have to say this, though. I have to give Richard Traylor a lot of credit. And I think I've said this to him before. And I don't want to misquote his exact words, but you guys all know the behind the scenes CDs or DVDs that we've all worn out, right? Behind the scenes, all the different things. I think Richard said it's something like this, that you have to give, well, let's see, if you're not giving 100% to the task, you're not worthy of the task, something along those lines. And I was like, oh yeah, no pressure at all. But I thought, okay, I was blessed to be allowed a license. This is Tolkien after all, just nothing's ever going to replace the writing style and just genius of Tolkien. So I felt a duty to just give all I had and more, as much as I had, into just taking the time, not trying to be fast, but be thorough. Junk in, junk out, try to put the best in so that maybe the result at the end will show the effort. And so people will maybe remember parts of the film or evokes a memory perhaps, or something of that sort. So that's sort of the mindset I had as I was approaching this, and pretty much every other piece I do too, but especially with Tolkien.
It's so beautiful. And I want to remind people that it's in our Middle Earth March Madness. And I'm sure, Cliff, you were going to remind folks too, it is up against, as Cliff mentioned, James Corty's well-known 1976 poster for Lord of the Rings. So it's a 30 years older piece that is a classic in the Tolkien fandom. So it's a tough battle that this incredible piece by Jerry has because it's up against a beloved, iconic 1970s piece of Lord of the Rings memorabilia in the days before we had, even at that point, the Bakshi and the Rankin Bass movies. So do check out if you haven't, anybody watching, if you haven't joined in Middle Earth March Madness yet, if you haven't voted, check out on the homepage. You can see there how to vote. And really, you've got until the end of the day tomorrow to vote in round 2. And so
that's not much time left, really.
I know. It's at midnight Eastern tomorrow night. You have until to vote. So if you haven't voted yet, and if you want to make sure that Jerry's piece goes through to the next round, tell all your friends to vote.
Yes.
Check out the One Ring homepage, and you'll find the link there for going to vote.
It's Jerry's pure symmetry against Jimmy Cauty's pure psychedelia, as I like to think. It's a wild matchup. We didn't expect it would happen like this because everything was randomly seeded in all the quadrants of our bracket. But it really is lovely. It is fantastic to have you here. Thank you, our collectibles guru, Josh, who does Collecting the Precious. He's got a great new clip that's out. And of course, Green Dragon, my dear Kirsten, thank you, of course, for joining us. Mr. Jerry Vanderstelt, we are honored. This is the rarefied air of being able to have you on our show and talk with you on this beautiful Tolkien reading day. Thank you, brother, for joining us very much.
The honor is mine. Thank you so much for including me in this March Madness. So the honor is definitely mine.
Absolutely.
So thank you all.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure to have you here. We're going to do a little bit of throwing the gremlin in the microwave just to get some technical things worked out. In just 1 minute, we will ask our audience for their forbearance. There's a word that I learned when I was just 11 years old from Tolkien himself. So thanks again, everybody, for our special guests coming on the show. And now Torn Tuesday is going to move into its next segment where we talk about all the exciting things happening this coming weekend at WonderCon in Anaheim, California. And that includes our booth. Well, we don't have a booth, but we have two panel presentations on both Friday and Saturday coming up at WonderCon. And we're also here in this really amazing space, which, as I said earlier in the show, this is Ridley Scott's studio here in West Hollywood. And I'm about to be joined by a couple of folks who are really remarkable, talented people who keep things running here at Scott Free Studios. And we're not going to say a word about Gladiator 2. We're going to say a lot of words about an amazing new graphic novel comic series that is being published for the first time. Ridley Scott has decided to get into the game of comics and graphic novels. It's super cool. We're going to be talking about Maudeville, the new, really cool new book that is just about to hit comic shelves. And you need to always support, as I always say, support your mom and pop comic book store in your local city and your town. I'm going to be joined by the Senior Vice President of Scott Free, Mr. Tom Moran, and the publisher and editor of this remarkable new book, and a good friend of the OneRing.net, it's Mr. Dave Elliott. And they're all coming in to join me. Come, guys, gather around the campfire while I pull out my guitar. We're going to have a little song. Come on in.
I was going to say,
no, I'm not going to sing. No, are you kidding? I'm just trying to threaten. I'm going to threaten you with a good time if I can, but I'm not going to sing. Do you want to change?
No.
All right, we got everybody in the frame, and we've got the microphone covering everybody. It's Dave Elliott right here. You are such a gentleman and a scholar, this guy. And a new acquaintance of mine, Tom Moran, and you guys are very gracious to let us have the use of this studio here in this space today. Let's talk about the new book. Let's talk about before we talk about all that stuff, I want to say it's still Tolkien Reading Day, and we're going to pass the microphone over right here to Mr. Dave Elliott.
If we have time.
No, we have time. We have time.
Should we end on that?
You want to end on that? Okay.
Let's end on it.
That's an editorial choice. Hashtag choices.
Yes.
So yeah, why is it that it took so long for such a visual artist like Mr. Ridley Scott to step his twinkle toes into the waters of this kind of art form? It just seems like a match made in heaven. I would have thought that decades ago he would have maybe gotten into this, but now he's a visual master of his craft, and now he's getting his toes into the water with Maudeville. I'd like to know how it all began. Can you tell us about the inception of this?
Well, as far as Ridley's perception of what comics are and why he would get into it, I think Tom would probably be the better.
I can say that. I can sum that up very quickly. I think if he were sitting here right now, he would tell you the same thing. He would say, "I should have done this a long time ago." You know, I think having the right team and the right people to be involved presented itself, and that's with Dave and Jesse, and I think that's in Tom, the other Tom, and it felt like the right time to do it.
Excellent. This is the launch.
Dave.
This weekend is the launch, right?
Perfect.
Is this the time that the audience gets its very first look on this book?
Well, this is going to be the first chance. Like what you just showed the audience there is
Our preview.
Yeah, well, so at the WonderCon this weekend, we're giving these away for free. So anybody who comes along, and this is like I think someone said before, it was like, "Oh, is that your ash can?" I'm going like, "No, these aren't ash cans, baby. This is slick. Like this is beautiful paper and this glossy cardstock. It's like you can hear it like that. This isn't your normal giveaway." But I thought it was really important to get across the quality of everything we're trying to do. So this was like, when you pick this up, you're going to get like, "Oh, okay, this is this looks sweet." That's not a. There you go. That's it. Stuff like that. See.
Oh, very cool.
So this is we're going to give this away for free. I know this is very impromptu, but I was going to say, like, if there's something that we can think of while we're talking, if someone comes up with that, maybe Justin will come up with something. 10 people. If we have a question that can be answered or whatever, we'll do like 10 Modville t-shirts. So, and we'll mail them out to whoever wins them. Yeah, so you get a Modville t-shirt with a Bill Sienkiewicz. Oh, let's get this off the wall.
Mr. Bill Sienkiewicz, is he doing some of your covers?
Yes.
He is indeed.
He's awesome. I love Bill. He's a friend.
So
He's a great guy.
Great guy.
So this is a poster we're giving away at the show. I've literally just seen, Bill's just delivered like the first cover to the book. That's the poster he did. He's just on the first cover, which is, give one shivers. Oh, I love seeing like when you get a good piece of art. So if you come to our panel, which is on the Saturday at 1:30 and it's till 2:30, you might just be lucky enough. We might show you that cover. We might show you the new one.
Wait, does that overlap with our panel?
Possibly on Friday.
Saturday. This is
Saturday.
Saturday.
Oh, Saturday we're at 2 p.m.
Saturday.
We're at 2
Yeah.
p.m.
Yeah.
on Saturday. So yeah.
Well, you can come to the first half of ours.
I'll be officiating a wedding. I'm going to be
Oh, yeah.
joining a bride and groom. I'll be
Right.
doing my job. I won't
Right.
even be there on Saturday. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, but
I remember I was at San Diego last year. We were talking about you doing some sort of official wedding ceremonies for San Diego Comic-Con.
That's a great idea. Yeah,
I mean, can you imagine that?
Comic-Con,
Yeah, he can do that.
would be
Like,
great.
He can. That's his other gig. Like
Wow.
he marries people.
It's a day job.
So
it is actually.
Yeah.
can you imagine doing that at Comic-Con? Like having sort of like in Hall H, all these couples like all lined up.
Doing a big group wedding. That would be so
How much would
cool.
you charge for that?
Yay.
Could be very lucrative.
It is
in Hall H.
It
Yeah,
is lucrative.
yeah.
Very cool. Oh my gosh, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
Now-
So you see how the creative sparks they flow with Dave and the group. That's
Yeah,
why
see?
this is the right team.
Yeah.
That is
To bring it
exciting.
back to comics.
Well, the book comes out later this year.
No, well, actually, okay. So I don't want to give too much away because we want to do that, save that for the panel.
Okay. So this is just the preview.
This is the preview, so
Okay.
you get a preview of it. Jesse Negron has built the most amazing booth. So please, if you come, you have to come and see our booth. Like it's going to be the booth at the con. I mean, it's a set from Modville. So come and see it. Like you'll get a real taste of what Modville's about.
That sounds really cool. Really
Yeah.
cool. Do you anticipate third quarter or fourth quarter to get the first issue out?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay, and we'll leave it
It
at
was a
that.
long yes.
Yes. There will be there's going to be a special release, and that's all I'm going to say. That will be in the third. No, actually, no. It's going to be in this. Yes, it's going to be in the third quarter. It'll be in the third quarter of the year.
Now, can you give us a breakdown of the story and the setting?
Setting is, it's in the future. I'm not going to give the date away, but it's set in the future. It's a sci-fi. Let's say I was going to say sci-fi film.
I'm not going to live till that point. So,
Yeah.
So it's that far enough away that it's not going to be like Blade Runner, where it's like, oh shit, when was that? Like
Not unless we Futurama freeze your head in a container.
Might have already done
that. Please don't do that. That's, yeah, I'm not putting that. Right.
But it's a story that you could see our brand having a part of and being a part of in terms of Scott Free and Ridley. So
it has that. It just naturally had that aesthetic. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why sort of like it seems so natural to be partners with Scott Free on this. It is. I mean, there's like we tie in so many different things, possibilities of what's going on in the future, what's going on in the world, and it all just like ties in. This is a very interesting. We live in interesting times, as they say, and this is a really interesting take on one of those possible points in our future. And I think that to me, I remember when Jesse was first telling me about the idea.
That would be Jesse Negron, who was the creator and the writer of the series.
Yes. There's so many levels that spoke to me on like, oh my God, like that part alone. And I think that's one of the things, the world building aspect of this is it's like an onion. There's like so many layers to it. And like you could easily go off in like there's so many different directions in this. And it is one of those things. It's a very long story. Like this is 4 volumes, and each book will be like over 200 pages each. And we're going to weave all these different narratives through it. And yeah, it's like the end. Whoa.
how much can we tell them a little bit? Do you have a little?
Would you describe it as a crime thriller or a technical thriller or something?
I think one of the ways when we start to describe it, like, yes, I think a lot of people will see sort of, they might immediately start to go like, it's a bit Blade Runner, isn't it? But I think what you're going to see is, I think truly it's more, I think True Detective might be more of somewhere where
a little True Detective in a Blade Runner world.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
There is a serial killer involved. This is a point in our future where parts of the world, through we've seen changes in our environment, and New Orleans is not done too well, and not a lot of people want to live there. But in this point in the future, it ends up being the one place these artificial humans can call their home. It's the one place that they feel a modicum of safety. The government has allowed them to live there. And so, yeah, they feel safe.
Small shades of that famous story of the replicants. Small shades of that. But also, what was that? Was it called True Blood? A little bit of New Orleans True Blood in there, and also a little bit of The Matrix in there, and also a little bit of a thriller, like a Neuromancer, technical thriller. I'm fascinated by it, and I can't wait to see how you guys present this at the convention, because it is a unique opportunity to be at WonderCon coming up. And I mean, we're just a few days away now, so this is going to be the first time you're really launching in the public space, letting everyone get a taste of it.
Yeah, we've done a couple of small shows, but it's just been sort of we've just given a teaser, the poster like I just showed you, but we've really been holding back on releasing any information. But this weekend is when we're going to start unloading that information. We're going to start, giving people more and more information.
I look at it like a film, like this, like you have your teaser, you have your trailer, you have your trailer 2, and you lead up to the release date of your film.
Bloody film terms.
It's film terms. So
What's the log line? What's the log line?
I'm trying to like fit this into our world as a company, because this is the first time we've done this. So I think that an ash can, is that what you call it, or
I always started calling it a super can.
A super can?
You can't call this an ash can. This is like
it's a super can. So we have a super
premium.
Can.
This is premium.
Premium super can.
I have to thank I know he can't be with us. I know he can't be with us today. He's in Portland, but Chris Northrup, he was the one who slapped me around the face and said you can't call it ash can, mate.
Super can.
Yeah, super can.
Super can.
Premium.
You see, you learn as you go. You see how we learn these things.
You do. I have to say, Chris Northrup, an old friend. I love that guy. He's a great guy. And good. I'm glad that he slapped you around a bit.
And he will be here at WonderCon this weekend. So
a reunion. I'm looking forward, Mr. Northrup. We haven't seen you in many years.
Question from the chat. You just got done producing a huge, successful alien movie, Romulus.
Correct, Alien Romulus.
That was good fun.
And so now you're going from a huge movie into comics, and we haven't even mentioned that there's another person that's never had a comic book, and that's Tolkien. Why is now the time?
With the exception of
play in this realm?
With the exception of Eclipse Books publishing the Hobbit graphic novel, illustrated by one of our artists who's in our March Madness, David Wenzel.
Yeah.
That's the only exception to the rule. But it does establish the rule. You're right. So yeah, how does it feel to dive into this new medium?
I think it feels great. I mean, I think again, Ridley and his brother Tony, they're artists. And when you look at this space, they drew their storyboards. Ridley draws his storyboards before each film, and he does them on set, and he refines them as the film goes. So it was just a natural transition to organically work to talk about comics and art and drawing and character and story. To put it all together, you get a comic. And Ridley was a big fan of comics growing up, and I think it just works. In terms of what we're doing. And I wasn't really going from Alien Romulus to this. This has taken some time to do, to put together, because we do, it is special. It is the first time we're dipping our toe into this world.
Yeah.
So we needed to do it right. And I think we're doing it right. I hope. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
So it feels right. We have the right people. We have the right team. We have the right artists. So it's on a path, and hopefully it's a good path. With more to come, we hope.
I wonder if Tolkien Enterprises, hello, Embracer Group, if you're out there, when is the right time for J.R.R. Tolkien's masterwork, The Lord of the Rings?
it is always the right time.
Exactly. When is it time to make a graphic novel approach to that? I'm really, really grateful that Justin mentioned that. I think you're right. It's always the right time.
And I think the other thing is, I think what Ridley sensed is, as artists, one of the things about navigating, particularly, the entertainment industry, is you have a great idea and you have a vision for it, and there's always somebody who goes maybe do this, maybe do that, you can't show too much of that, and to actually be able to show, have your vision, and sometimes that vision. The best way, if you're in a group of people that you can call friends, right? You're like peers and friends who help you, rather than executives who've never written anything, probably never even had crayons when they were kids. It's like, to have that, creative vision. And so maybe if Modville does become a TV show and a film, and it might not be exactly the same as the graphic novel. It might be changed, but we'll have at least laid the foundation of where, we think it should go.
Question from the chat: is storyboarding basically comic books?
Is storyboarding basically comic books? Well, if you're following the rule of thumb of Scott McCloud and his great seminal classic, Understanding Comics, it's all about sequential art. And I would say yes. My instincts tell me yes.
I would say yes if you're good. If
Right.
you're good at it,
Right.
if you're a good artist. I mean, some people draw stick figures for storyboards, so I don't know if that counts.
Mm.
That would be me probably if I had to do that. But no, I think when Ridley is finished with the film, and I've been very blessed to be able to see this, and you go through and you watch the film, you watch the movie, and you sit back and you come back to the office and you look through the storyboards, and you can literally flip through the book, and you can see exactly what you just watched in the theater.
Yes.
That's art, right?
Yeah.
And I think so.
I
think to a degree, storyboards. I mean, are they comics? You could probably take his storyboards and not make the movie and then turn it into a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
To a degree,
I think the only difference comes where in comics you can push the art form further. You can take it in areas that would, like visually and artistically different. Like, because with storyboards, you're producing something for everybody else to follow. It's a great communication device for you have an entire team of people working on a project, and they all need to be able to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
With comics, yes, the same thing, but then the artistic storytelling aspect of it takes it just another step.
Well, that's why I said that if you didn't watch the movie, and you went and flipped through it, it could be. But if to make a movie, you have a writer, a director, actors, producers, studios, of all variations of people that are going to have a say or an opinion or, a voice, let's say, or try to. You know what I mean?
I'm suddenly reminded, I can't help being reminded of Jodorowsky's Dune, the famous Dune that was never made. And yet there's that book. And there's only a few of them in the world. As we all saw the documentary, we know there might be 2 or 3 of these things. And within those pages is the entire complexity of Jodorowsky's vision, all done in sequential art with all the storyboards and the wild character designs, including the Geiger designs that he did. Wild stuff. And yet maybe someday that might get published as a graphic novel.
Could be.
That stuff. But this is where the rubber meets the road. You have a brand new, beautiful, really beautiful and well thought out future world, and you're bringing it to the public for the first time. I'm excited for you. It's very cool, but you're trying to feel your way out and how best to show this to the audience. And this is probably one of the best ways to do it, is to be at an energetic, convention with so many fans of the genre, all there trying to get more information about
Fans are important in this world, in the entertainment industry.
Comic-Con last year, right?
Say again?
You took Alien to Comic-Con.
Yes, Alien Romulus was at Comic-Con last year.
Yeah, a very big presence for Alien
Very
Romulus.
big
You had
Yes.
something to do with that, didn't you, Tom?
Just a little bit.
Oh, just a little bit.
I loved it. It was great. I loved it.
Produced it, right?
I was an executive producer on it. Correct.
Yeah, good stuff. Producer. Right. As soon as the show is over, we're going to sit and have a pint, and we're going to talk about Prometheus for hours.
Okay.
Like, I'm sorry.
I
to
just
do
had
that
a
to you.
conversation today about that, so I'll be fresh. No.
I'm so down. I'm so down. It's some of my favorite stuff. I mean, Ridley Scott.
Might be more than one pint.
Might be, well, yes, when I'm around, it will be more than one pint.
Okay, good to know.
But to tell you the truth, my love affair with Ridley Scott didn't begin with Blade Runner. It began with a little baby Tom Cruise and a Tim Curry in a giant red demon outfit. And he was inspired by French filmmaker who created La Belle et la Bête, The Beauty and the Beast. And Ridley Scott wanted to capture this European flavor of a fairy tale. And he was in the marketplace in the early 80s with, Disney doing the Black Cauldron, with Dungeons and Dragons being a massive thing in the early 80s. Believe me, I was a Stranger Things child. I was that young teenager in the early 80s experiencing fantasy and the Lord of the Rings. And then Legend comes out and blows my mind. And I thought, I will never look at pollen the same way again on screen. That's just I will never. It was just Come on, Tim Curry chewed up the scenery
Oh,
like
he's
nobody's
brilliant.
business.
Yeah. No, he's
So he's Ridley Scott is an accomplished fantasist. As much as he can tackle other genres like science fiction, as well as he can do political drama, and he's shown his teeth in so many great ways with different genres, and it is kind of exciting to see you guys and Ridley and your very creative team come together for Maudeville. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to see the debut of Maudeville this weekend at WonderCon. Come on down to Anaheim.
Where's the panel again?
Where's the panel and the time?
It's 1:30 to 2:30 on Saturday at WonderCon.
And you have a booth and an ad?
Yes.
Well, we have the back cover of the catalog, so yes.
Oh, wow. You
Yeah.
guys got the back cover of the catalog. Okay, everyone's going to
We
see
do
it.
indeed.
It's going to be
Yeah,
great.
Our
That's
booth
great.
number is 1005.
Right up front.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. 1005 booth.
It's a great booth.
I wish I had a booth this
It's-
year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hear
it's
booths
amazing.
are the thing at these things.
Yeah.
It's good to have a booth.
I think
Good booth.
It is.
I think we're going to start. I think Jesse is going to be setting a whole new standard on booths with
They'll be
this.
signing that week, all weekend?
He will be.
Jesse.
Yes, Jesse's going to be there. We've got Anthony
Yes.
Francesco there. We will be. Anthony Francesco will be on our panel. For those who don't know who Anthony Francesco is, he worked on a couple of small movies for Marvel, like Infinity Wars and Endgames. He's doing something with us. So yeah, maybe if you come to the panel, you might find a little bit more information about that. And we will be doing Anthony's done a Maudeville poster, which we will also be. We're just limiting it to those who come to the panel and those who come to the signing immediately afterwards.
Do we have any socials that we should tell the audience at home that they should follow? Or we're going to get to that.
Well, you can Mechanical Cake
Yeah.
on Twitter, Mechanical Cake TV on YouTube. We are Instagram. Yep.
This is the beauty of this comic world, is that it's a direct access to fans. It can be, and that's something that's fun for us.
Yeah.
In our brand to get it out there.
I think there's like being able to. I could get an image from an artist, and I could within minutes of receiving it, I can be getting feedback on Twitter from someone who's going like, "Wow, what's that for?"
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell you just yet, but
Is it still Twitter?
Oh, I'm never going to call it anything but.
I'm not going to encourage that behavior. Let's say a Blue Sky or
Yes.
or Instagram. Yeah.
Can we show the Bill Sienkiewicz artwork again?
Oh yes. of
Yeah,
course.
because ever since his golden era of doing Daredevil covers for Marvel, and the stuff that he has done with, the Killing Joke and with other things with DC, you can't get enough Bill Sienkiewicz in your life. I'm telling you,
He's a great
You
guy.
can't.
I mean, I just
He is.
met him. I mean, I just met him like months ago, but he's a fantastic person.
He
He's
is
a good guy, great at what he does.
he is quite the artist.
All right, well, before we go, we have two panels.
We do have two panels. I do not know that you'll have to.
6 o'clock.
6 p.m. on Friday is our Tolkien reading panel. 6 o'clock on Friday, we will have audience participation and a wonderful, stellar panel of people reading certain selections that they love from J.R.R. Tolkien to celebrate what is happening right now. Tolkien Reading Day, the worldwide celebration of literature and the legacy of all of Tolkien's works. We're still going to put you in the hot seat if we can. But on Saturday at 2 p.m. till 3, we have our regular dispatches from Middle Earth, which will be our big conversation in a panel about everything that's happening with the recent season of Rings of Power, with the recent theatrical release of The War of the Rohirrim, and that wonderful music from Stephen Gallagher. Bless him. What a great experience to see Kenji Kamiyama, a wonderful anime director, get into the director's seat and bring Middle-earth to life in a way that we've never seen. But in a way we kind of have, because like I've said before, back in the 70s, you dial it back to Topcraft, and that was the studio before they worked with Miyazaki at Studio Ghibli. They were doing The Hobbit for Rankin and Bass and doing their own Japanese anime version of Tolkien way back when. I know I'm dating myself. It happens. It was 45 years ago. What do you want? But you know, you have fond memories of all that stuff, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, all that.
Totally. All of it.
I had to throw you in, Dave. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're so pleased to be here with Tom Moran and Dave Elliott, and we're here at Scott Free Studios in West Hollywood. But what's so special about launching something new is because it reminds me of that famous quote from Dune. David Lynch zooms in on Virginia Madsen and fades her in and out of a beautiful starfield. And she says, "A beginning is a very delicate time." Right? So this is the beginning of a wild, wonderful new franchise for you guys. And you're handling it with intelligence and you're handling it delicately. And I think it's going to be awesome. I've got a spidey sense tingling about it. This is so cool. It's going to be very cool. And we do appreciate you letting us be here for this broadcast. Yeah. You guys keep your eyeballs peeled. Follow Mechanical Cake on their socials online, and you'll get more about Maudeville as we get closer to what will be an auspicious launch for this. It'll be very, very good.
Are you going to read?
What would you like to read? Mr. Dave Elliott.
Shall I
yes,
move
you
on?
can. Do you want to have anything else to add?
No, just if you stop by WonderCon, stop by and see us at our booth at whatever the number is. I can't remember now.
1005.
1005 at WonderCon. Come to the panel. It's a great time for all of us.
Yeah, they still have single day badges for sale. Yeah. They're affordable. Bring the kids, bring the family, bring your significant other, and geek out with everybody at WonderCon. It'll be really fantastic.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's such a pleasure, sir.
Pleasure.
Well
Thank
done.
you very
well
much.
done.
Thank you.
And
see you tomorrow.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Tolkien Reading Day continues apace, and now, ladies and gentlemen, with his own personal selection from the Fellowship of the Ring. This is Dave Elliott.
Right. There was a selection that had been bookmarked, but I went for something different. So I'm sorry. I picked my own.
Thanks.
In the dead of night, Frodo lay in a dream without light. Then he saw the young moon rising. Under its thin light there loomed before him a black wall of rock, pierced by a dark arch like a great gate. It seemed to Frodo that he was lifted up, and passing over, he saw that wall rock with a circle of hills, and that within it was a plain. And in the midst of the plain stood a pinnacle of stone, like a vast tower, but not made by hands. On its top stood the figure of a man. The moon, as it rose, seemed to hang for a moment above his head, and glistened in his white hair as the wind stirred it. Up from the dark plain below came the crying of fell voices, and the howling of many wolves. Suddenly a shadow, like the shape of great wings, passed across the moon. The figure lifted his arms, and a light flashed from the staff that he wielded. A mighty eagle swept down and bore him away. The voices wailed, and the wolves yammered. There was a noise like a strong wind blowing, and on it was borne the sound of hooves, galloping, galloping, galloping from the east. Black riders, thought Frodo as he wakened, with the sound of the hooves still echoing in his mind. He wondered if he would ever again have the courage to leave the safety of these stone walls. He lay motionless, still listening, but all was now silent. At last he turned and fell asleep again, or wandered into something other unremembered dream. You want me to go on? I can do more.
Good enough.
Beautiful. Beautifully done.
Okay.
Beautifully done.
And everybody can do that at WonderCon, right?
Yeah, everyone can do that at WonderCon. That's the joy of it. You get to join us. That was well done. Give this man a round of applause, everybody. Yay. So good.
My pleasure.
We get everyone in the chat is going, wow, he's got a great voice for audiobooks. And I'm like, yes, he does, although he doesn't know it yet. He has a great voice for audiobooks.
I'll give you my
This
number.
guy.
You're more of it
No, I will.
We get-
tomorrow or Friday.
I'm totally happy. Like, yeah.
Join us on Friday and do
yeah,
some reading.
yeah,
We're going to be all
I'll
together.
read the next section if you like.
Oh, yes. Yes, that'd be fantastic. I mean, I just got to read on Saturday or Sunday the section where the Eagles rescue Frodo and Sam on the side of the volcano right after the destruction of the ring. And it was just wild. I mean, because Professor Tolkien he really cranked it up to the max when he wrote that. And it's mind-boggling and kind of cataclysmic what's going on. But you have, look, everyone's, yay, very nice. I'll keep listening. Everyone's hand clapping.
I shouldn't have stopped.
Last one says, tell that man to get an agent. Well, now you know you need to get an agent, Dave Elliott. Now you know. You guys have been very generous with letting us do our show. It is an unusual hybrid broadcast for us doing Torn Tuesday, but this is our specialty, bringing surprises from Middle Earth.
I'll be honest. I had ulterior motives. I haven't seen you two guys for a while, so it was like this might have been the only way I get to see you like before the show. So
that's true.
So yeah. So
Well, we'll hang out this weekend.
We will hang
Yeah,
out this
definitely,
weekend. I'll be
definitely.
there Friday evening, 6 p.m. That will probably be after most of the exhibit hall has shut down, and people can, relax. We can have a moment of respite and joy reading Tolkien together on Friday, and then on Saturday, our panelists will deliver all the news that's fit to print, as they say in the American newspaper business. This has been very exciting. It's been very,
great.
very exciting.
I mean, it's funny. It's like it's weird. It's always that thing of like, particularly with a new project, you want to be able to tell everybody like now, like, oh, like this, you're gonna love it, and because this happens, and this happens, and this happens. But it's like that thing of like you have to do the breadcrumb thing. You have to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's like but you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it when you see it. Yeah.
You must be stoked.
Yeah,
It's like introducing your baby to the world.
And
You're the editor and the publisher. Oh my God.
and again, you have to contain yourself. It's like, yeah, but that's Modville, but like, oh my God, there's like 2 other projects we're working on simultaneously and other stuff, and like, so yeah, no, it's great. It's
really good.
It is.
All right. Well, the energy is infectious, and I guarantee you it will continue through this coming weekend. Like I said, there's still single-day badges available. Come and join us in Anaheim Convention Center. It is literally across the street from Disneyland, at the corner of Harbor and Catella. Anything else to add from the editorial department?
Final question. Is Dave Elliott related to Joe Elliott of Def Leppard?
Oh, hello. That's a good question, Zap Verasepa. I like that question. You know
No.
Joe Elliott from Def Leppard?
Simply no.
No?
I used to know. So like, all right. So when I was 14 years old, like there was a club in London that I used to go to in Camden Lock called Dingwalls. It was a jazz club. It was like I'd recently been introduced to jazz, and so I'd go down there. I'd like, I'm drinking at 14 years of age. Yes.
Well, that's the British way.
Yeah, it's the British way.
Yes.
And so I remember like one time, so there was a particular guy there who, like, I suppose if you look back weird and go like, that guy's playing Space Invaders with a 14-year-old. Sort of like, and they play Space Invaders together like almost every Saturday. That person was Lemmy from Motorhead.
Wow.
Lemmy Kilmister? You're
Yeah.
kidding.
Yeah.
You're kidding. I interviewed him in my little documentary.
He was,
Oh my gosh, he was
he
amazing.
was brilliant, and I never thought it was one of those things. It's like, see, like it was like, oh, see, I used to call him Lemmy, but I didn't put 2 and 2 together at the time. It took a while before I realized he was Lemmy from Motorhead. Like, I'm 14. This is like the 70s, right?
I love it. I love it.
So, but one time, so there was a particular group I followed that was kind of more new jazz. So I knew they were playing this particular Saturday. So I was like, I was playing Space Invaders with Lemmy, and then I was like, oh, the band was coming on. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to leave you now. I'm just going to watch these guys. The guys did one number, and then the owner of the place comes on and says like, hey, look, I hate to sort of like break this up, but we've got someone in the audience that I'd like to see if he'd get up on stage and do something. And it was Bob Dylan.
No way.
So
way.
So he gets Bob Dylan, like, so he's trying to get Bob Dylan to stand up. And Bob Dylan says, well, I'm only gonna get up and play if Eric plays as well. And Eric Clapton was there.
No way.
So they get
You've got to be kidding.
no, so they get up and they play.
Wow.
I, having no idea who Bob Dylan was like, oh, screw this. So I went back to play Space Invaders with Lemmy. And Lemmy just tells me, Dave, go and watch this. Like, you will never see this again. Like, you have to go and watch this. Just for the memories, you'll be able to say you watched this. So he made me go back and watch. Because I wanted to watch this other band that like no one's ever heard of.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Gosh, the London club scene in the late 70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when the world was smaller, right?
Yeah, you had to be there.
Yeah. You
had to be there.
you could walk into places and bump into someone famous. And
Well, in the late 60s, London hosted the Middle Earth Club. And the Middle Earth Club had David Bowie showing up, Clapton showed up, Mark Bolan would come to the Middle Earth, and it was an underground, dingy little club that, existed in the very late 60s, early 70s.
What songs did they play?
I can't remember. I was like 14 and I wasn't really into it.
14 in this deep.
Yeah, and it was just like, when are they going to be over?
And you weren't even paying attention to Bob Dylan at that point in
No,
your career.
to be honest, I didn't know who he was. I'd heard of Eric Clapton before, but like, Bob Dylan.
And that's why you're in the comic book business.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Well done.
All
You got, thank you again, good sir.
That's all
Everybody,
right, man.
this guy, he's a good friend of the OneRing.net, always has been, always shall be, for many, many, many years to come. And you guys are everything. The community of Tolkien fans, you made it all happen. Thank you again for joining us on this remarkable hybrid Torn Tuesday, a show that will go down in history.
I really enjoyed reading that, by the way. It was like,
Wasn't that lovely?
yeah. So if you want me to do that again,
Yes.
like, you can even zoom me in for it, and I'll just like do it.
God, the man's bloody well good. He's really good. He's really, really good.
No, it's just fun.
I thought I had chops, but no, this guy's got audiobook chops, man. He's great. So looking out for you guys. We're going to bring you more stuff next Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, as we always do. All the news that's fit to print here at the biggest worldwide web portal for J.R.R. Tolkien fans, the OneRing.net. As always, we encourage you to follow us on our socials. You just follow the OneRing.net, take out the dot, and you'll find us. Me, personally, I'm on Blue Sky and Instagram at QuickBeam2000. Always a friend to the trees. That's my job, and I'm sticking to it. Justin, we're going to say thank you for putting the gremlin in the microwave behind the scenes and making everything cook. And boy, Justin was making everything cook today. It was really good. And
Our battery's almost out. You better wrap it up.
very special, Dennis Pizarra, our cameraman, our special director of photography. I can't print. You can forgive me.
You
I
can
love
see
you,
more.
Dennis.
You can see more of Dennis's work if you come to the panel.
Yes, come
at
to the panel.
WonderCon.
Yeah, you guys.
1:30 to
Wrap it up.
2:30
We're gonna wrap
on
it up.
Saturday.
Saying good night, everybody, and good luck. Or as I love to say at the close of every show, buenas noches y buena suerte. Bye-bye, everybody.